Today on the Sports Business Classroom Audio Experience, we're joined by the three creative forces behind the 20 years of Vegas Summer League documentary, Michaela Gilmer, Peter Denis, and Jonathan Scott. This team brought to life the story behind one of the NBA's most iconic grassroots events, capturing how Summer League grew from a small, scrappy showcase to a must-attend global basketball experience. We'll talk about the inspiration behind the film, what it was like premiering the Summer League Film Festival, their creative process, and what storytelling in the sports world really means. Plus, we'll hear about their current projects, how they broke into the industry, and advice for anyone hoping to follow in their footsteps. Let's get right into it. Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Sports Business Classroom Audio Experience podcast. My name is Alex Cocoros, and today I have the pleasure of being here with the three creative minds behind the 20 years of Vegas Summer League documentary, Michaela Gilmer, Peter Denis, and Jonathan Scott. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
No, thank you guys. I really appreciate it for coming on and taking the time. Before we get into all the questions, can you guys just briefly introduce yourselves and what it is you exactly do and in this industry?
Yes, so my name is Michaela Gilmer. I wear a lot of hats in this industry. I currently work for NBA Digital on our editorial team with the NBA website and NBA app. And in the last year, just been getting much more into video and TV producing it. So just putting together from Summer League doc, our Bay Area Hoop Show, for All-Star, long form kind of doc features. I do a lot of our women's basketball coverage for the NBA TV side as well, with the TNT sports side, with the Unrivaled League. So that's new and been really fun to work on this year. Yeah, kind of a quick summary.
Awesome.
My name is Jonathan Scott. I'm a coordinating producer for TNT Sports. We touch all their platforms, all the different properties that we have, sports properties. And we mostly just do content that the guys can react to and the different shows can react to and, try to get some type of reaction from the fans.
Peter Denis, senior video editor here at Turner, but I kind of get to be a little bit of a producer editor. I don't write, but in terms of content, I kind of get trusted by producers like John Scott and Michaela to kind of help put things together. Like they trust my opinion, so I guess that's my skill.
Got it. Michaela, you brought up a good point there, how you wear multiple hats. Like, how important is that in this industry and trying to achieve what you want to do in the long run?
I mean, I think it's vital. I have come from more of a editorial writing background, but that's kind of I always say if you can write in this industry, you can kind of go ahead and do anything. So I think that's been, key for me, especially being in different areas of the business, just understanding how different groups work and the synergy amongst like all the different teams and all the, I've been really basketball focused, but, I think that TNT Sports is an awesome place because we have a lot of different properties and, stuff is always changing. So I think it's very important.
So we're ultimately here talking about the 20 years of Vegas Summer League documentary, which aired last year. What was your guys' role in that project, and how was that overall experience for you guys?
I could start. I was a producer on the project. It was a great experience. I'm really glad that we took it on. At first, it was a project that was so large, not a lot of people wanted to really touch it because of how much time it was going to take from their schedule. And as Michaela was saying, we juggle a lot of different properties. We do a lot of things, wear multiple hats. So this was a large undertaking, so we knew how enormous it was. But with Summer League being one of the NBA's biggest tentpole, I was honored to take on that task.
So how did the story ultimately come about? Because you said it, projects take a while, and what makes a story compelling enough for you guys to take it on and handle it ultimately?
It was assigned to me. Johnny O, Michael Doyle, Tony Lamb, those are like our leadership team for the NBA. They assigned the project to me, and it was funny because they said, you're going to be working with Michaela Gilmer. And I've never worked with Michaela before. They said she's just going to be shadowing. And it probably took, how long, Michaela? About 3 weeks before I even hit you up, or probably a month. Like, I thought it was just going to be, okay, like she's going to shadow me. And it's going to be a lot of work. And I got to teach her this. I got to teach her that. I didn't really want to be bothered. I just wanted to kind of just tackle and jump into the project. But when Michaela came on, it was invaluable. Like the organization that she brought to the project, the structure, helping Peter, because Peter was our only editor, and he had to comb through tons of footage and all these interviews, and just an enormous undertaking. But when it first came about, it definitely took a team collaboration to bring it all together.
Right, and that's a good point you bring up, because I think, working on a long project like this, it's important to have that teamwork and camaraderie. Like before we started this interview, you guys, I could tell you get along and joke with each other. How important is that when you're working on a long project like this? I can see Peter laughing.
Yeah, it's huge. It's hard to. Yeah, if we don't get along, it's very hard to work with anyone if we don't get along. So, we get along. We joke with each other, cry with each other. We scream at each other. I mean, but in a good way. But it's all just to kind of get these projects done.
Right.
They're tough. They're very tough. But I like doing them. It's an emotional roller coaster when you're doing them.
Right. Emotional roller coaster. That's why you need to have some fun along the way with it. So you guys were at Summer League last year. I don't think I got to meet you guys in person, but why did you feel it was important to make a documentary about the history of Summer League and how important it is now to the rising stars of the NBA and the young players?
I thought it was cool. I went to Summer League after a year. It might have been 2013 is when I actually came out to Vegas, and when I heard about this project, I was like, oh, it's cool. I like Summer League, because I remember going when it was a little bit, it's a little bit smaller, but to see how it's grown. So when we were working on it, I remember a lot of those stories, and I'm a big NBA nerd. So I watched the draft. I'm all about I remember when that player came out and all that kind of stuff. So to relive it was fun with the team. It was really fun to relive it. So it's important to tell that story, because just to see where players started and where they ended up, and it's very cool.
Yeah, it must be, because you said 2013, the difference from 2013 to last year, 2024, for the people who haven't seen it, right? It's a crazy jump to what it's come to.
Yeah, I think that was the Dennis Schroeder draft, I think.
Wow,
Dennis Schroeder and Giannis, I think, was 13.
That's
Hawks were supposed to get that pick. All right, sorry.
Last year was the first year of the Summer League Film Festival. You guys were in attendance. How cool is it to see your film, up on the big projector with an audience behind it, almost like a full circle moment, you can say?
Yeah, I think that was awesome. Just how much the event has grown over the years. I too have been to a few summer leagues before I even worked at Turner, when I worked for the league actually. And so just to see how the event has kind of transformed, and it's now this, almost like an experience. And I think to bring in just different creatives and have that kind of element to it was really cool, and a networking opportunity for us. I know we met a lot of other filmmakers kind of in the industry, and then obviously a chance for us to kind of just show our process, and we're sitting here explaining that.
Yeah, so you brought up a good point there, how Summer League, it's so easy to meet connections. You can walk the concourse and meet someone and start a conversation. Is that what you think makes the film festival unique compared to other ones?
No, for sure. I definitely think that's part of it. Just the family nature of it, the way people could just pop in and out. You could be sitting next to the director of the film. You could be sitting next to the athlete that the film is focused on, because it's such an at-home environment. Another thing that makes it special, to be honest with you, is Albert Hall, man. That guy is just energy. He's a really good dude, and you can tell that he pours his personality and himself into everything. Mm-hmm. He has a vision for something, and just like in the film, we talked about it, he talked about it. But when he has a vision for it, it just gets done. He has just a business mindset towards everything. And he just sees it bigger than it is. And because of that vision, it's just going to continue to grow. I'm sure this year is going to be even bigger and better. So a lot of it is the environment. It is the venue for sure. The intimacy of the whole space, but you can't discount what Albert brings to it as well.
Yeah, he was saying before, we've got 50 films already lined up, and you can expect that it's going to continue to grow and grow.
I mean, was it 10 last year?
It's crazy.
If that, yeah.
Just like that. It's I know, submissions after submissions coming in, so that just proves how it keeps growing. This is a podcast catered to students or kids trying to get into the industry. So on a project like this, Peter, I know you're the editor, Jonathan, you're a producer, Michaela, you're wearing a bunch of hats. What's the mindset and working with the team and making sure everybody's doing the right role and on the same page?
Organization.
Yeah.
It's key. Yeah. Organization and communication, and then we all kind of multiple hats, because John has a bunch of stuff that for a show like this that he has to deal with that we don't see. I didn't know before I met Michaela that she was a writer. And so if you don't mind me saying, Michaela was kind of pretty green when we started this project, but because of her mindset, as a writer, she learned quick. So she and I sat a lot together working on putting stuff together, because once I found out she could write, then I knew she would understand story flow. And so I just needed someone when John wasn't available, when he was out there fighting crime. I knew I could say, hey, Michaela, I'm stuck at this point. Can you get me to here? If you look at the transcript, and she'd be like, all right, give me a few hours or give me an hour. And she would go through the transcript and say hey, this guy says this, and you want to possibly put it in this particular order. And it's huge, because usually that more than anything, because we worked on that, and we also did Bay Area, and then she can tell the story, she knows the flow, and then she picked it up very quickly, which if I didn't say that to you before, awesome. It's a lifesaver to have that. I mean, John Scott does that naturally, but to have a second person when John wasn't available was key for projects like this.
And when Michaela's saying she's wearing multiple hats, it's not like she's wearing multiple hats on the project. She has a whole nother job outside of this. And that's why I was saying my reservations at first, because I know she works for the news desk and she's doing all these different things that never stop because it's 24/7. So for her to be thrown into this, a massive project, as if she doesn't have a regular day job on her own, it was amazing to see what she was able to do.
So Michaela, I want to ask you, because if you're working on multiple projects at one time, how do you stay focused and making sure that you're giving your all to each project? I know it's hard, but how do you balance that?
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, but I think for me, I really wanted to learn more about really Jonathan Scott and Peter Denis's team and what they do. And when I found out about the Summer League doc, I was just really persistent in trying to pursue that, because as I've said, I came from the league, and I've spent, when I've gone to Summer League, I've been there for a month's time at the whole duration, working really closely with the broadcasting team there. And, there was a year we did a whole just optimal Summer League broadcast, trying different alt streams, different announcers, just different kind of ways to bring the game to fans. So I think I brought a lot of that kind of expertise and just knowledge from that. But and I think the number one thing for me is that working on that project particularly was the first time that I was oh, this doesn't even feel like work, because I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed finding footage that was a needle in a haystack, I enjoyed finding just kind of Peter was saying, ways to kind of connect these dots. Maybe some of the untold storylines. It's being in the dock with the women of Summer League, and how much that has been an opportunity for whether it's women referees or women coaches, but just to kind of make themselves known there, and then obviously what it translates to in the regular season, from Becky Hammond getting her first shot there, obviously getting called up on Pop's bench, and now she's with the Aces. So things like that, I think kind of just again, it makes it fun.
And how important is it in this industry? Because Peter, you were saying how you're an NBA fanatic. I am one too. I love sports. Just if you're in sports, you're surrounded by it 24/7. At the end of the day, it's going to come easier if you love it, right? And have that passion for it.
Super easy. Yeah. Even if you watch, even if you're a fan of a team that hasn't won a championship yet. But yeah, definitely.
Who's your team? Who's your team?
The Atlanta Hawks.
Oh.
You can't tell. You can't tell it's the Hawks.
The St. Louis
Could have
Hawks.
said the Pacers.
Hey, they can get the 8 seed tonight. Upset against Cleveland if they win tonight.
Yeah.
Not
happening.
I don't know. I don't want to make this dated because
the Hawks not being good will never be dated.
Conference Finals run a couple years ago. You still have that.
Hey, we can't buy superstars like the Miami Heat can and the Lakers can. All right, like leave us alone. Leave us alone.
Are you, Jonathan? Are you the Lakers fan or the Miami?
Miami Heat. Miami Heat. Born and raised in the County Dade. Yeah.
So you got some championships under your belt. You can brag about.
A couple, maybe three or so.
Only the first one counts. Only the first one counts because you drafted Wade and got that right.
I'm a Knicks fan, so I can't really talk. But I mean, I'm an all New York fan, so Knicks, Yankees, Giants. But yeah, I know. I think, if Cat shows up in the playoffs, who knows? But
True.
That's an interesting sentence.
That's a big ask. I know. It's a big.
I mean, he made the conference finals with the Wolves.
Exactly. So him and Brunson, you never know. And then you guys have, done work not just with the NBA, NASCAR, PGA. Michaela, I know you worked with Unrivaled a little bit. Do you like not being pigeonholed to one sport and you're able to branch out and, do as much as you can?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to let Peter and J. Scott take this one because, I've been pretty tied to the NBA and the WNBA for my career, but getting to work on the Unrivaled property this year was, just amazing because startup league, no one really kind of knew what to expect, right? But it was kind of like, in its infancy stages. So to contribute to that was amazing. And then obviously now the numbers are out. They basically broke even in a startup league. So, you just only know it's going to grow from there. So for me, that was awesome. And also, challenging just because I have more of an NBA background. But, I'll let the other two who work on all the properties get to speak to it.
Go ahead, J. Scott.
No, go ahead, Pete.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I've done NASCAR, PGA, NCAA, basketball. Golly, what the British Open?
Wow.
Man, what else have I done?
So much to count.
Every sport that's on the banner at Turner Sports, I've worked on all of them. So it's been great, man. It kind of helps break it up, But I like competition, so I like anything. And once I can figure out what the competitive thing is about that sport, I'm all in. So I used to hate baseball, but once I figured out what to really pay attention to with baseball, I'm all there. So I like it. It helps out with the monotony of basketball, and I love NBA hoops, but sometimes you got to switch it up.
Basketball naturally, but NASCAR or something like baseball, it takes time and
but once you're in,
exactly. That's cool.
It's great.
Know.
With baseball, you got to watch the pitcher. And the bat. just watch those two. That's it, and you'll have a great time. NASCAR. The one thing that I figured out when we were doing it, because we actually used to go travel for the races, was if you can listen to the car radios for NASCAR. Oh, it's the best.
Wow.
It's the best way. Actually, when you go, you can buy the headphones to listen to the car chatter, and that's the best because you hear them spotting, you hear all the stuff, and when if you're actually listening to a winning team, it's really cool. So it's just a little inside nugget for anybody who wants to follow NASCAR in a different way. That's pretty cool. A pretty cool way to listen to it or watch it is to listen to the car chatter, not the broadcaster.
And Alex, we just got we got NHL about 2 years ago or so.
Right.
And it's been great. I've been doing a lot of NHL, a lot of hockey. Never thought I would ever touch that property. But it's different and it's cool and the players are really into it. Sometimes not to knock the NBA too much, but sometimes the players aren't really the most cooperative at times to get interviews, or they could blow you off, or they're busy or they're doing other things. But the NHL really wants to promote their league, and the players are all about it. I've done a lot of women's soccer on the U.S. Women's national team, doing a lot of stuff with them. So it's been good to mix it up, but you always come back to what you love, which is basketball. So that's the good part.
Yeah, it must be fun. not knowing what comes next in a way, right? Just that spontaneity. Is that the right word? I don't know. Spontaneity.
I can't say it either.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. Yeah. So I think I asked this question a little bit before, but obviously you guys have worked on big sports production projects. But why is it? What makes a story worth telling, and then why would you want to do it?
It's gotta have impact for me. Like we're all storytellers at the end of the day. That's why we're in this job, so we can tell stories. But if it's a story that is impactful and it's moving, and you feel like you can get a reaction out of someone, maybe get them to feel inspired, or maybe get them to kind of rethink something that they're going through in their life, or just, for me, inspiration. I guess that's the biggest one. A lot of stuff we do is for inspiration, give you little goosebumps, make you feel something. So that's my biggest thing in the storytelling is inspiration.
Circling back to the 20 years of Summer League documentary, was there any moment or part of the film that stood out to you and you didn't know before and that you really enjoyed working on?
It's a good one. I didn't know Warren was a surfer. I don't know. We touched on that very briefly. We touched on that so briefly. It was like, I think it was his shirt. We just touched on his shirt or something. He's like a surfer. Yeah. And all the languages. Honestly, I didn't know Warren spoke a lot of languages. And that's something that did not make the cut. We didn't really put that in there. But we showed him interacting with a bunch of different people. I think he was speaking Spanish to one of the reporters. But yeah, Warren's just, Renaissance type man, just his whole vibe. I really enjoyed that little section that Peter did in the beginning where we kind of set up who Warren is and touched on who Albert is and just kind of told their story. I had followed them around for a couple of days in the arena, just running, gunning before our ENG crew got there and just following them around, videotaping them. And I was exhausted. Yeah. Like I sweat a lot. And in Vegas, the sweat is just on 10, even indoors. Yeah. And all the movement I was doing, I couldn't believe I could hardly keep up with Warren, and he's like double my age. So that's the guy. He's the man.
It's funny.
Not double my age, but
it's really like that too. That's the part when we got there. We're like, we gotta put your track shoes on. We were up and down the stairs, and they're like, "Hey,
he's gone.
Hey, you gotta meet this guy." Like,
they're machines, right? They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Right. And he casually introduced you to stars. He'll casually introduce you to legends. I mean, before Jerry West had passed, he introduced me to him as if he was introducing me to like the dude who's cleaning up. Like, hey, here's Jerry West, and here's such, and here's a security guard. He's really a cool dude.
Yeah. They got interviewed at the Summer League studio last year, and the guy, broke it down perfect. It was like, these are the two celebrities that you want to meet here at Summer League, Albert Hall and Warren Legary.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good point you brought up, because you said how much gets cut out of a project that you guys are working on. I know you have to film a lot, but it's like more than half, you'd say, or?
It's just so much. Like we're restrained to time, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like we're given a window to put this piece in. Sometimes we have social clips that can come from that. We can post some other things on digital, but a lot of it gets cut out. A lot of stuff gets left on the floor because we don't have enough time, and we have to make executive decisions and say, okay, this goes, this stays. We can cut this out. Maybe we could tease this a little bit, but we don't have enough time to get into the context of it. And you just got to keep it moving.
Right. You say keep it moving.
Peter knows most about that. Peter.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah, because it's always like, it sucks. It's like the stuff that I'll get attached to, and John's like, it's got to go because we got to do. Yeah. We also have to get this in there. We got to get that in there, and like, but I don't, and he's like, you got to get rid of it. There's certain things we will argue about, like the.
For sure.
Right, because there's some things you feel connected to, right? I really like this part. Come on, let's keep it in, right?
What was it like the whole beach scene thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't like it at first. Like
And then another bad part, Alex, is like I shoot a lot. Like I'll bring my own camera, and I'm like the producer who's on the corner shooting and getting other angles. So because I do that, it's all my baby. It's like, oh, I shot that though, but that I want that in there because I look at this angle. Oh, you didn't see the way the sun moved and flared off. Come on, dude.
It looks a little better. It looks a little better than that one. Yeah.
So I take it very personal. We go back and forth about it for sure. Even to this day, we have other pieces we've done where we're just like, hey, how come we left that in there? How come we didn't take this out? Or this guy kind of mumbled this line. How come? we still talk about it. Yeah, for sure.
You forgot to add this one. This shot looks pretty good, right? The one you shot. Yeah, you just said you keeping it moving. What projects are you guys currently working on now?
Well, right now I'm working on it's a Going Inside documentary. It's technically supposed to be the final season of the Inside show that's going to be on TNT. Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny, EJ. This is the last time the show is going to be on TNT. It's making a move to ESPN. So we're just kind of chronicling that behind the scenes action of everything that goes on. Peter's going to be working on that with me. We have another editor, Brett Langfield, Drew Watkins, head of the group. We're all putting that together. It's going to be airing in conference finals. So I would say mid-May. Watch for TNT and Max for that. And also doing a lot of Roland Garros stuff, tennis, touching a lot of hockey. Like I said, just finished up some women's soccer pieces as well.
You know, it's an overarching question, but you guys probably get it a lot. But, you know, what advice do you have for, you know, young aspiring students trying to get into this industry and, you know, how they go about that?
For me, I would say, if they're producers or they're shooters or, you know, they enjoy telling stories, I would tell them to tell their own stories as much as they can, as often as they can. No matter how big, no matter how small, just do something once a week, shoot something, write something, shoot something, edit, put it out there for people to see once a week. If you could do it more than once a week, do it. But just get into the habit of doing that because you're going to make mistakes. We make mistakes and we're professionals and we make mistakes on, you know, the highest stage right now, the biggest stage. And you're just going to make mistakes. So just keep doing the small projects now, get those mistakes out the way now, learn from them now. But yeah, that's the best advice I could give them. Just to do it as much as you can.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate that.
I think that's good. I think also just like, you know, not being afraid to, you know, reach out to and connect with people and kind of, you know, doing like, I think something I did that was beneficial is just having like informal interviews with people, you know, like where you get to pick their brain and kind of see how their journey is and understanding that like none of this is linear. Nobody's is the same either. You know, I think it takes like, you got to have a lot of patience, but you also got to, you know, if sports is your goal, like, you know, you have to have patience, you know, to get there. It's not, you're not going to have your dream job right out of college by any means. And I think just knowing that, like, you know, everything you're doing is preparing you for the next, right? So like, there's no, you know, no losses.
If you gotta try to get your foot in the door anywhere, so because that one way in is basically the next step to something else. So I mean, it doesn't matter. Just try to get in anywhere, and then you'll figure it out where you go to next. But just get in. I started in TV news, and then I ended up at Turner or at TNT Sports. So
no, I totally agree with that. Like I started out at TNT as a freelance editor. I don't necessarily touch the edit stations anymore. I'll be embarrassed. Like I can't hold a candle to what Peter and them do. Yeah. But that's how I started out here editing. And I knew that I just need, like Peter said, just get your foot in the door. And once you get in the door, you get exposed to all these different departments and you tell people and you manifest what you want to do. And you say, hey, I do this now, but I want to do this. And you just kind of wait for your time to come because it doesn't come quickly. Like I had to wait several years before I got the shot, but you know, they kept an eye on me and I was able to get the opportunity. So yeah, get your foot in the door, try to be around the people who you want to be and you know, it should work out.
Yeah, that's key. That part is key. Like definitely when you're in, especially when you're young, it doesn't even matter, even if you're older too, like ask a million questions.
Yep.
Yeah, because the one thing I always say to young people all the time is like old people like to talk. So if you ask old people questions, they usually will answer. Dude. Yeah, if they're not doing anything, be like, oh, how'd you get into the industry? Oh, let me talk.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, let me tell you about 1979 when I was you know, like so. Yeah. But those stories are key. Like value them. Like value those stories that because they're teaching you about the grind. They're teaching you about perspective. They're teaching you about, as much as the industry keeps changing, it's still kind of the same. It's a people business. Like treat the folks you're working with the right way. You know, be on top of your game. All the stuff that they taught us when we were growing up. Like be on time and you know, be courteous. Don't be a jerk to anybody because small industry, man, and word gets around quick about you being a jerk. And so like I know I've gotten into a lot of sessions just because people get along with me. It's not kiss ass, but we just get along. So like, and that's huge. To be, someone that people will talk properly about when you're not around.
Yeah.
Like they'll vouch for you, to go to bat for you.
Right.
And that's what you kind of want to build in this industry.
Can I add to that, Alex?
Of
Another
course.
thing for the kids.
Of course. Yeah.
Another thing for the young people trying to break into the industry, form real relationships with people. Don't meet people just to network. I mean, networking is good, but make a real relationship with people. Like, have genuine relationships where you're either invited to their house to eat at some point, or, it's just outside of work stuff. Like, for instance, if I meet Peter and I'm interning with Peter, I'm shadowing him, and I find out he's a Hawks fan, you got to follow up with that and go back and forth with him about your team versus his team, and like form a real bond.
You don't want to do that. No, not with me. You don't want to do that.
No, because then you'll see him in the hallway and you'll be like, yeah, man, my guy did X, Y, Z, your guy. And it's like, he won't forget that. And it's like a real bond. Like when Michaela came on and joined the group, we started forming real bonds. Like we spent more time sometimes at the beginning of the session talking about whatever happened in life before we even started the session. And then we got into it. And then it just, becomes inside jokes and stuff as you go through it. But that really helps when the next project comes where you're like, you know what, I can't do this project without Peter. I can't do this next one without Michaela. Or I would love to have this person around, because we spend a lot of time on these projects. Yeah. A lot of time we're on the road. Sometimes we're in trucks for 16 hours or whatever. And you want to be with people who you have real relationships with, who you feel is cool. So make sure that you form those bonds.
And that's interesting you brought up, because I think a lot of kids, when they're asking questions or they're trying to reach out to someone, they feel like they're being a burden, but the worst they could say is no, or they don't get back to you, right? Like, you might as well reach out and, hope for the best.
Yeah, my film teacher, my film professor told me you already have the no. And I was like, what does that mean? He was like, if you don't ask, or if you do ask, if he says no, you already got the no. Like, It's already a no. All you could get is a yes. Yeah. So ask all the time, because if you don't ask, it's the same as a no. And I was like, oh. It took me a while to get it, but it just made me more bold. And, I just started asking stuff more. Even if I got the no, it's like, I already had the no if I didn't ask or whatever.
Yeah. I think it takes a while go up. Sorry, Michaela.
No, I was just going to piggyback off what John said, because, that's why I basically got involved in the subject project, because I just kind of kept asking, I wasn't being told no. And, people were just trying to find a way to get me in, because I was persistent. And, eventually, once I think, John Scott could see that I didn't need to be having my hand held the whole time, and I wasn't just trying to shadow, I was really trying to contribute. And I think that's the other key thing. What do you bring to the table? How can you help people? And I think no one's going to refuse that, especially if it's, even if it's not used or whatnot, ideas are always good. So how can you contribute to, what people are creating in a way?
And people see that, right? They see when you're, interested in it and want to help out as much as you can. It goes a long way, and it reflects a lot off of that.
Oh, can I add to that too? Because see, when Michaela talk about her skills and skills in general, so make sure you show the skills that you have. So I'm gonna just say in terms of our other project that we did this year for 2025 for All-Star. So Michaela wrote the pitch, several pitches for Bay Area Hoops. I think we turned in maybe 30 pitches for that show. But she wrote every version of the pitch until we got it greenlit. And because we couldn't take a no for an answer, because the initial project that we pitched got shot down for some there was one of the teams was going to do something similar, so we got shot down. So then we just kept brainstorming amongst us three, what could we do? Because they kind of felt bad for us. The powers that be felt bad for us. So we would just sit together and just just kind of talk about the structure of this other show of Bay Area Hoops. And like I was saying earlier, I'm not the strongest writer, but I know how stories should flow. So we kept pitching it. And Michaela was just she kept typing it. And she kept typing it. I'm just like, what is she doing? And I didn't know she writes that strong. She wrote damn near a freaking movie treatment. By the end of the day, I was like, holy shit, I did not know. And then she did that several times. I was like, we got a writer on the team. Oh.
I wish I had that skill, just being able to write just
Oh,
comes out
dude,
so naturally.
yeah. I mean,
it's hard.
so I mean, as much as I'm like, when
Yeah.
she did that, because if she didn't do that, the show wouldn't have gotten.
Right.
She kept writing versions and versions and versions of this idea because we had all of us knew exactly what we wanted to do, but like the higher ups are like, it sounds like the thing you said yesterday. It's like, well, no, it's different. Like, and so she finally, when she wrote it, and then they were like, oh yeah, this is different. This is different from the previous versions, and they were like, yeah, you could do it, and we had to scramble to do that one too. But it was,
is that a skill you've always had, Michaela?
Writing. I mean, I think like when I think about when I wanted to go into like journalism, that's what I wanted to do. But then I remember being in like a broadcast journalism class and like seeing how sound was created for Jurassic Park out of all things. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And so then like I kind of just started to pursue that a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I would say like my writing just has improved. I've worked at different places. And it just improves over time, right? And I think I read a lot. That's the other thing. Like,
that helps.
You can't really be a good writer unless you are, an avid reader, an active reader as well. And definitely would encourage the kids listening to this to read more, because I think that's something that we're seeing less and less of just because of our brains and how we're on our phones all the time, scrolling thing. So like, just, I think I can't emphasize that enough, just how important like reading people's work is, and writing your own stuff and writing out loud or reading out loud as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's something I read like one book a year and think I'm doing something, so I have to definitely improve on that. Thank you guys so much. I don't want to hold you any longer. I know you're busy, got things to do, but it was great having you guys on, and even I learned a lot, so I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you this summer league.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm out of here.
Crime fighter, right? I forgot to bring that up. Sorry, my bad. I forgot to bring that up.
That was perfect.
But yeah, like you said, hope to see you guys at Summer League. So
for sure. Appreciate it, Alex.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
That was good.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Sports Business Classroom Audio Experience. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained some insight into the power of sports storytelling through the lens of Michaela Gilmer, Peter Denis, and Jonathan Scott, the creative minds behind 20 years of Vegas Summer League. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Tag us on your IG story at Sports Business Classroom to share your favorite takeaways from the episode. This episode is brought to you by Hall Pass Media, a full-service marketing agency specializing in brand consulting, event management, digital marketing, and creative design. For more information on Hall Pass Media, visit hallpassnetwork.com. Thank you, and see you next time.